Hey, my name is Shirley LeMay. I am a certified peer specialist for mental health, and I have been getting a lot of what I feel like is confirmation that I should make a video like this in regards to mental health struggles and overcoming them. From my personal experience, recently I had a setback where I was not functioning well. Mental process was really low, and it caused me to just feel totally worthless, helpless. And I am 10 years in mental health recovery from childhood trauma, depression, PTSD, anxiety. It all stems from all the things. Most of the time, I'm a high functioning depressed person, and I see a need to speak up about what's true. And as a certified peer specialist, I experience a lot of other people behind the scenes that are struggling, and they're afraid to admit it to their family or their friends. And that's totally normal. Unfortunately, that is the stigma that we have around our community, and every community and every church and every family-oriented gathering. No one talks about when they struggle. No one wants to talk about it, and it feels like no one wants to hear about it. And but I'm here to say that you can tell your story in a way where people can hear you, because everybody's like, there's all this bad in the world. There's all this bad in the world. And so when people start saying, well, I'm struggling and I'm hurting and I can't function, it just feels like another bad story, So in some of my training that I've done, there's what we call trauma-informed care. And in trauma-informed care, we should be asking what happened to you instead of what's wrong with you. It really changes the fact that we do care, and we finally are showing it in our words, instead of we care but we don't really know how to respond to your behavior. So I challenge you guys to ask your friends, your family, coworkers, if you see them struggling, my challenge for myself too is to say what happened to you and lean in and not be afraid to hear a bad story. Because in my scenario, I've had a lot of setbacks, a lot of traumatizing experience, even as an adult. And, there's times where I have asked myself, there's a lot of negative self-talk that comes into play naturally. And, I say to myself, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? What is the setback again? I'm falling again. And I have to stop doing that. I have to stop doing that for myself and say, Shirley, look what happened to you. And every day that you get up and you make yourself a cup of coffee and you do your self-care, it will help, to build yourself back up. I also do a thing called a WRAP. It's a Wellness Recovery Action Plan. And when I hit my most latest it was extreme trigger for me, because I have been, here, and then I'll get here, and it'll be kind of doze back a little bit, but then I'll go back up. And then, over 10 years, I've made it to this place of self-awareness, feeling healthy mentally, identifying my triggers and putting up boundaries. And it's been work. I have a super awesome counselor that I'm religious about seeing him once a week. If at all possible, once a week is just what I need still after a year. And that's healthy for me to stay present And, if I ever get to a place where I might need him, twice a week or twice a month, that's okay. Whatever I need, as long as I recognize what I need and I'm taking care of it and not letting it go and not letting it spew out to my family, my friends, those that love me, that really don't, know how to handle certain things, or maybe they're not trained, maybe they don't understand, maybe you don't want them to understand. It's okay for that. I have a lot of people who I talk to that have fear of admitting because they're afraid someone's going to put them in the loony bin, or they're going to take their kids, or, we have to stop not addressing problems because of fear, because, I'm a Christian and the Lord doesn't give us a spirit of fear. When I say that, I'm convicting myself because I don't do a lot of things out of fear, and I work on it. It takes me, like this video has taken me weeks to do, because I struggle with, what if I don't say all the right things, say all the things I wanted to say? What if I say and way too many times? It's going to happen because I have no sheet of paper in front of me, and try to make sure I say all the things that are on my mind. I watched a video. Let me get back to that thought process. I need to tell you about my wellness recovery action plan. It was developed 30 years ago, and I just learned last year what a RAP is. I wish everyone had one, just like a living will. A RAP, which is a wellness recovery action plan. It's basically like, it has a breakdown of what your day should look like if it's your best day. How do you operate in the morning? What is your daily routine? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you having a good amount of food? Do you brush your teeth? Do you listen to music? Whatever runs your morning. Drink coffee, have water, go for a run. Whatever your morning consists of, that when you get to work or you get to wherever you're going to be for the rest of the day, you can say, I checked all the things off my book or my list, and I feel good about being present. And then, so ideally you want to try to do that regularly, okay? But then, because you've got what works well for you, and then your action plan to do all those things, your daily routine, daily maintenance, you start creating a toolbox of, what are my tools, which would be like time management, your alarms, making sure you have your toothbrush and your toothpaste where they go, maybe setting out your clothes. So it'd be, organizational skills. That's some things for the toolbox for your daily maintenance. Then there is a list that you would create, because this is created by you since you're the expert on yourself. It's a list of triggers and stressors. You need to know what bothers you in order to create an action plan to combat it. So if, people who drive really slow bother you, then you need to have an action plan, such as like my action plan. If I'm in a hurry, I increase my following distance from the person in front of me, because I don't want to get in the road rage zone for them or me. So that's an action plan. Then, so you would create an action plan for your stressors and your triggers, that not asking everybody else to control themselves, but for us to take care and control ourselves, because that's what we have access to and power for. Then it starts declining. So it's like getting from best case scenario to worst case scenario. Your daily maintenance plan, your stressors and triggers, and an action plan. When things are breaking down, if you're starting to realize that you're going into just a funk of whatever, what does that look like? And you might ask a support person, a friend, someone that you trust, when I'm really happy, what does that look like to you? So that you can help identify yourself. And then ask them, when I'm not doing well, if I start, do I start, becoming reserved? Do I laugh less? Do I eat, less or more? Those things, the behaviors that they see when they can tell that, maybe you're not your uppity self. And then an action plan to combat it. What helps you pull out of your if you have a depressed moment, or you're dealing with anxiety, stressors and triggers or all that. So then it's a crisis. If you get to a crisis and you cannot function to a place where you can't tell your medical providers what you like and don't like, what you need and don't need, then your action plan is going to be helpful, because you're going to do this stuff while you're well, while you're not in a crisis, because things happen, crises happen. And I think this is a lot of people's anxiety is based on, what if I can't be in control, basically. And so this takes away that concern, because you're creating it when you're well, and you are gonna give it to your support team, your medical providers, people that you trust. And then you've got post-crisis, which is the last part of the wrap. Post-crisis is getting you back to square one. It's like, okay, when you were in crisis, you designated someone to pay your bills so you didn't lose your home. That's a really great thing to put in your action plan when you are in a crisis. And then your post-crisis is you're regaining, you're communicating with your medical providers, clinicians, peer support, personal support, and then you're trying to get back to functioning completely by yourself. But you might be here for a little while, and that's okay. It's really actually like right here, and then you need to just get here, because you're not down per se. You need assistance, and we all need assistance, and it's a healthy, responsible thing to do. It just is. And I never knew this thing existed. So now I have a toolbox. My toolbox has, if things are breaking down, maybe I need some good music. Maybe I need some good food. Maybe I need some fresh air. Get out in nature. Those are tools for your toolbox. At the RCO, we do the wrap. There's a group that you could attend to just kind of keep yourself accountable. I call it maintenance. Some people call it, just group, whatever, just keeping up with, what you need to be aware of. And we can always learn new things to help us feel successful. And that's my ultimate hope for everyone, is that we don't all just feel like we have nobody, feel like we don't know what we're doing, feeling lost. I have been there, and I've been alone. We live in the mountains. And even though I have friends and they want to help, they don't really know how to help. And I don't know how to tell them. That was not many years ago anyway. But now, as a certified peer specialist, it is my professional duty and my personal duty to myself to make sure that I'm well, so that I can help other people, get out of, that funk of feeling unwell. And preparedness is always a healthy thing, to be prepared. But that's my whole spill on wrap. I'm going to try to do some more videos like this. I want to share so much with y'all, and I'm trying not to make this 20 minutes long. There's a book that I read. This is a little topic, and this might go to 20 minutes. I don't know, y'all. I'm just trying to be obedient to what I've been feeling I need to do for too long. I have this book. It's called Calm Your Anxious Mind. It has been such a blessing to me. A friend gave it to me. She knew I was really going through a hard time. And it's very short devotional type things. Today, this is March 9th. It says, obsess or pray. Be not anxious about anything. Philippians 4:6. When you've got problems, when you've got problems, stew over them. When you've got questions, obsess over them. Is that what God said to do? No. Oops, that's what I've been doing. Paul said, do not be anxious about anything. Right after he said, remember how good and wonderful and brilliant God is. When you've got a God like this, you don't have to live like that. When I live like that, I give my good God reason to think, she's acting like she doesn't know me again. She's forgetting that she can trust me. It's like if my daughter spent all day at school worrying about whether I'd give her dinner. She'd be distracted, unable to focus on learning and do all she's meant to do there. I've given my daughter dinner every night for years. She can trust me as her caregiver. Sometimes you and I act like we have no caregiver or have an untrustworthy one, when in fact we have an excellent one. We belong to a good father who doesn't abandon his kids. He knows that we need and he knows what we need and he provides for us. Ask him to take care of you. Live like you actually trust him. And then at the bottom it says, thank you, great God, for giving me a new way to be, trusting and free. I wanted to tell you about this because I've been hearing a lot about people who are on the fence about Christianity. There's a lot of Christianity stuff going on. And, people are like, well, if your God's so big, why do you have anxiety? Why do you have, this, that, and the other? And it's like, they forget that he's not a genie in a bottle. This is a broken world. We have carnal minds. Our body functions out of experience that we've had on earth. And God knows that trouble's going to happen. So many places in the Bible that he says, there in this world there is trouble, and he is a hope and a future. And that's my main thing I need people to understand. It's okay if you're struggling mentally, physically, with anything alcohol, drug-wise. It's okay that you are starting wherever you're starting. It doesn't matter. The main thing is that, you can see that you have a hope and a future. That's the main thing. God doesn't think of you any less. If anything, he draws near to you. He draws near to the brokenhearted, and it doesn't really matter what the brokenheartedness is for. And so that's why Christians who, they push Jesus into people's faces, per se, is because they're like, we've struggled, and this has helped. He's a help, and he's a hope. And if you can see a hope and a future for yourself, then you can be very successful at this. It's a journey. It's not, a one and done. I had this problem, now it's fixed. It's life keeps moving. As long as we're breathing, it's going to happen. And if you need someone to talk to, I'm here. I'm a private person. You can trust that I will be confidential. There are so many resources coming up in our community and surrounding communities that I just pray more people will come to know, and we can start stepping over this stigma that's around us. And I hope everyone has a super awesome Thursday.